Hello, my friends. Welcome back to this English learning podcast. My name is Daniel, and I am very happy to be with you today. I want you to think of this podcast like a calm place where you and I sit together and talk about life, habits, and English learning. Today, we are going to talk about something very important. It is about habits and how habits can slowly change your life. Many people believe that motivation and willpower are enough to change everything. But the truth is very different. In this podcast, I will explain why motivation is not always enough, what you can do instead, and how small actions every day can make you a new person. I want to start by saying this. Have you ever felt very excited about a new goal? For example, you decide, I will wake up at 5 a.m. every morning. I will exercise. I will study English for 2 hours. And I will eat very healthy food. On the first day, you feel powerful. You do everything with energy. On the second day, you still feel okay, maybe a little tired, but you continue. Then by the third or fourth day, you suddenly feel weak. You wake up late, you scroll on your phone, and you don't follow your plan. And then what happens? You start blaming yourself. You say, I'm lazy. I am not good enough. I can never stay consistent. But my friends, I want you to understand something very important. The problem is not you. The problem is the strategy. Many times, we try to build our new life only with excitement and willpower. But willpower is like a battery. It runs out very quickly. When your energy is low, when your emotions are heavy, your willpower disappears. That is why so many people start strong but give up very soon. It is not laziness. It is because they don't have a system that supports them when their energy is low. Think about it like this. Imagine you want to learn English. On the first day, you are full of energy. You buy a new course, you study many words, you feel very motivated. But after a few days, your motivation goes down. If you only depend on willpower, you will stop. But if you build small habits, like listening to 10 minutes of English every day, reading one page, or practicing one sentence, then you can continue even on the days when you feel tired. The secret is not in big actions. The secret is in small actions that repeat every day. I want you to remember this. Motivation is like a friend who gets excited at the party, but disappears when it's time to clean up. It feels good at the beginning, but it doesn't stay long. What you need is a plan, a system, and small habits that continue even when you don't feel like doing them. Now let me give you another example. Many people say you need to break out of your comfort zone. You need to do hard things and shock yourself. But I don't fully agree with that. Life already gives us so many shocks, deadlines, bills, responsibilities, family problems, stress, and so on. You don't always need to shock yourself more. Instead, you can stretch your comfort zone slowly, step by step, like stretching a muscle. If you stretch too much, you will break. But if you stretch a little every day, you will become more flexible and strong. So if you feel shy speaking English, don't try to give a speech in front of a big crowd on your first day. That is not bravery. That is cruelty to yourself. Instead, try to order a coffee in English, or say hello to someone online, or maybe just practice talking to yourself in English in the mirror. These are small stretches, and if you do them every day, soon they will feel normal. And then you can stretch again. That is how real growth happens, slowly, kindly, step by step. Now, let us talk about something that many people blame themselves for: laziness. So many times we say, I am lazy. I can't do anything. But my friends, most of the time, it is not laziness. It is emotions. We eat cookies late at night, not because we are hungry, but because we are stressed or sad. We spend hours scrolling on social media, not because we have free time, but because we feel bored or tired. Many times when people say, I don't have time to study English, the truth is not time. The truth is fear. Fear of making mistakes. Fear of sounding silly, or just feeling too exhausted to try. And sometimes the biggest enemy is boredom. Learning a language can feel boring at times because repeating vocabulary or practicing grammar is not exciting. But remember, boring things are often the most powerful. Just like brushing your teeth is boring, but if you don't do it, your health will suffer. Repetition is not glamorous, but it builds the foundation for real growth. So, instead of saying, "I am lazy," ask yourself, what am I really feeling right now? Am I bored? Am I tired? Am I afraid? When you know the real emotion, you can handle it better. And when you handle your feelings, you don't quit. You keep moving, even if slowly. Another problem is that we live in a world where we feel pressured to show our growth to others. Social media makes us believe that if we don't post our success, then it doesn't exist. But real growth is not always beautiful. It is not always exciting. Real growth happens in quiet moments when no one is watching. It happens when you write in your journal, when you practice English alone in your room, when you read one page every night. These small unposted actions are the ones that build your new life. So please remember this. My friends, you don't need to create a highlight reel for others. You need to build a lifestyle for yourself. Real growth is quiet, repetitive, and sometimes boring. But it is also powerful because it lasts. Now let's go deeper into this idea. I want to show you how habits really work and how you can use them to build the life you want. Many people think that if they want to change, they must stop their bad habits completely. For example, they say, "I will never eat sugar again," or "I will delete Instagram forever," or "I will quit YouTube." These decisions sound strong, but they don't always work. Why? Because willpower can help you say no one time, but it cannot help you forever. If you only remove a habit, but you don't replace it with something better, you will feel empty. And when you feel empty, your brain will push you back to the old habit. Think about this. If you usually scroll TikTok for hours, it is not just the videos that you love. It is the little hit of dopamine, the small pleasure that makes your brain happy. If you suddenly stop, your brain feels a void, a big empty space. And because your brain hates empty space, it will run back to the old habit. That is why so many people fail when they only try to stop something. The secret is not only to remove, but to replace. So if you scroll TikTok too much, you can replace it with something small but rewarding. For example, every time you feel the urge to open your phone, you can try journaling for a few minutes, or you can write one sentence in English, or you can even listen to a short podcast like this one while doing your chores. The goal is not to leave emptiness. The goal is to give your brain a new habit that feels good and supports your life. This same rule applies to English learners. Don't say, "I will stop wasting my time." Instead say, "Every time I reach for my phone, I will practice one English sentence first." Maybe it's a sentence like, "How are you today?" Or "I like learning English." It doesn't matter if it feels small. What matters is that you are replacing one habit with another. And when you repeat it again and again, soon the new habit becomes natural. But habits are not only about what you do. They are also about where you are. Your environment is very powerful. Sometimes it is even stronger than your goals. For example, you want to read more books. But if your phone is on the table in front of you, buzzing with notifications, it will always win your attention. You want to study English, but if your desk is messy, your room is noisy, and your energy is low, then it becomes almost impossible. It's like trying to meditate in the middle of a loud dance party. You can have the best intention, but the environment doesn't support it. That is why small changes in your environment are so important. If you want to read more, put your book where your phone usually sits. If you want to study English, set your browser homepage to an English learning site instead of YouTube or social media. If you want to drink more water, keep a glass near your bed. These little tweaks are like nudges. They guide you without force. When your environment supports your goals, you don't have to fight with yourself so much. Now let's talk about another powerful idea: accountability. Sometimes Even with good habits and a good environment, there will be days when you don't feel like showing up. That is when you need support from people. But not just any people. You need what I like to call a commitment champion. This is not someone who pressures you with guilt. It is someone who cheers for you with kindness. There is a big difference between someone saying, "Did you do it yet?" and someone saying, "I am proud of how far you have come." Maybe it is a friend, maybe a sibling, maybe even someone in an online community who understands your journey. And if you don't have that person right now, then you can be that person for yourself. Write encouraging notes for yourself. Remind yourself of your progress. Be your own champion until someone else joins your team. Now, I want to share something that many people forget when they are trying to grow. Growth doesn't begin with perfection. It begins with play. Many times we think that we need to be serious, strict, and perfect in order to succeed. But this kind of heavy mindset makes us give up quickly. What if instead of making growth a punishment, you made it fun? Let's take English learning as an example. You don't need to only sit with a grammar book and feel bored. You can sing songs in English. You can watch cartoons in English. You can talk to yourself in a funny way. Or you can even make mistakes on purpose and laugh about them. When learning feels playful, you want to come back again and again. And when you come back again and again, real progress happens. This idea is very powerful. Take your life seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously. When you allow yourself to make mistakes, when you allow yourself to laugh, when you treat growth like play, suddenly it becomes lighter. You want to continue, not because you must, but because you enjoy it. Remember, transformation is not about forcing yourself with pressure. It is about creating a lifestyle that feels natural and kind. Habits that stick are habits that don't feel like punishment. They feel like part of who you are. So my dear friends, here is the truth. Growth is not always big, shiny, or impressive. It is often quiet, small, and gentle. But those quiet, small steps are the ones that truly last. Whether you are learning English, building healthy routines, or trying to improve your life, remember this: go slowly, go kindly, and keep moving forward. Now, let's talk about how you can put all of this into practice in your daily life. First, let's return to the idea of emotions. Many times, when we fail to follow our habits, we quickly blame ourselves. We say, "I am weak" or "I am lazy." But usually, it is not laziness. It is emotions guiding our actions. For example, when we eat unhealthy food late at night, it is not because we are hungry. It is because we are stressed, tired, or maybe feeling sad. When we spend hours scrolling online, it is not because we love wasting time, but because we are bored or anxious. When we avoid practicing English, it is not because we don't care, but because we are afraid of making mistakes or afraid of sounding foolish. If you want to build new habits, you must understand your emotions. Every time you feel stuck, instead of saying "I am lazy," try to ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Am I bored? Am I scared? Am I stressed? Am I tired? This small question can change everything. Because when you identify your emotion, you can work with it instead of fighting against it. If you are tired, maybe you only need to practice English for 5 minutes instead of 1 hour. If you are bored, maybe you can change your method. Listen to a podcast, watch a funny video, or read a story instead of a grammar book. When you adapt to your feelings, you keep moving forward instead of quitting completely. The second thing I want to remind you about is the danger of comparing yourself with others. These days, social media makes it look like everyone is living a perfect life. People post their 5 a.m. routines, their long study sessions, their success stories, and it makes us feel like we are behind. But remember this, many people are not chasing what they truly want. They are chasing what looks good to others. They are chasing likes and followers, not real growth. If you start living for the approval of others, you will lose the joy of your own journey. So instead of asking, "How does this look to others?" ask, "How does this feel to me?" Because real growth doesn't need an audience. Real growth is private, quiet, and personal. You don't need to prove your progress to anyone. You only need to feel it inside yourself. Now let us talk about another important principle: foundation. Just like a building needs a strong foundation, your life and habits need a strong base. This foundation is made of small, consistent actions. For example, brushing your teeth is not exciting, but it is essential. The same is true with English learning. Writing down 10 new words every week may not feel exciting, but it builds your foundation. Reading 1 page a day may feel boring, but it builds your foundation. Small, consistent actions are the roots of big achievements. Here is something else to remember. Your brain loves reward. Every time you complete a habit, even a small one, give yourself a reward. It doesn't have to be big. It can be something simple like saying, "Good job, I did it," or giving yourself a 5-minute break, or drinking your favorite tea. Rewards signal to your brain that this habit is worth repeating. Without reward, habits feel heavy. With reward, habits feel satisfying. Now let me give you some examples of habits you can try if you are learning English. Every morning before you check your phone, speak 1 simple sentence in English. Every time you make tea or coffee, read 1 English word from a notebook. Before you go to bed, write 1 line about your day in English. Every Sunday, watch 1 short video in English without subtitles. These may sound very small, but small is powerful, because small things are easy to repeat. And when you repeat, you create a habit. And when you create a habit, you create change. But even with habits, remember this: you are human. There will be days when you fail. There will be days when you forget. There will be days when you feel like giving up. And that is okay. Missing 1 day does not mean failure. Progress is not a straight line. Progress is a journey with ups and downs. The important thing is not perfection. The important thing is returning again and again, even after you fall. Another idea that I want you to carry with you is kindness. Many people think they need to be strict and harsh with themselves in order to succeed. But strictness often creates guilt and shame. Kindness creates progress. Be gentle with yourself. Celebrate your small wins. Forgive yourself for your mistakes. Encourage yourself like you would encourage a close friend. When you practice kindness, you create an environment where growth feels safe, not scary. Now let's come back to the bigger picture. Habits are not just about what you do. They are about who you become. Every habit you build is like casting a vote for the type of person you want to be. If you practice English every day, even for 5 minutes, you are voting for the identity of an English speaker. If you exercise every day, even a little, you are voting for the identity of a healthy person. If you write every day, even 1 line, you are voting for the identity of a writer. It is not about one big change. It is about many small votes that slowly create a new identity. And here is the most beautiful part. When your habits align with your identity, change becomes natural. You no longer force yourself to study English because it is not just a task anymore. It becomes part of who you are. You no longer force yourself to eat healthy because it is simply who you have become. Habits shape identity, and identity sustains habits. So, my dear friends, as we close this podcast, I want you to remember 3 things. First, do not rely only on motivation and willpower. They are temporary. Rely on small daily habits. Second, be gentle with yourself. Stretch your comfort zone slowly, with kindness, not pressure. Third, focus on the lifestyle you are building, not the image you are showing. Real growth is quiet, steady, and personal. If you are listening to this right now, I want you to know that you are already doing better than you think. Every step, no matter how small, adds up. You do not need to be perfect. You only need to keep moving forward, one gentle habit at a time. So let us end on this note. Change your habits, and you will change your life. Take your growth seriously, but do not take yourself too seriously. Laugh, play, and enjoy the journey. Because when learning and growth feel light, you will keep coming back. And that is how transformation happens. Not in one big moment, but in many small repeated moments. Thank you, my friends, for spending this time with me today. I hope this podcast gave you clarity, hope, and simple tools to move forward. Remember, you are not lazy. You are not behind. You are simply human, learning step by step. And step by step is enough. Until next time, keep practicing, keep growing, and keep believing in yourself.